Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, I invite you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. As we begin this glorious evening, let's pause right now for one moment of silence. Thank you very much. Please stand once again while the James Wood High School Band performs our national anthem. Thank you. Please be seated. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Ben Thompson, Principal, Dowell J. Howard Center.
Good evening. It is with immense pride and joy that I welcome you to our annual comprehensive celebration of successes, a monumentous occasion honoring the incredible dedication and triumphs of our high school graduates, our GED completers, and our CTE completers. Tonight is a testament to perseverance, hard work, and the power of aspiration. Before we officially commence, I'd like to acknowledge the distinguished guests who have joined us this evening. Your commitment to education and our community is deeply appreciated. Dr. George Hummer, Superintendent of Schools. Mr. Shane Goodwin, Assistant Superintendent for Administration. Mrs. Shante Knight, Assistant Superintendent for Instruction. Mr. Scott Sturdivant, Chairman of the School Board. Mr. Miles Atkins, School Board Member. And representing our wider community, we're honored to have Mr. Josh Ludwig, Chairman of the Board of Supervisors. Mr. Bob Lero, Board of Supervisors member. And Mr. John Jewell, Board of Supervisors member. To the parents and guardians in the audience, look around you. The young men and women before us are a living testament to your sacrifices and belief. Tonight, you should be profoundly proud. And to our graduates and completers, this is not just any day. This is your day of triumph. It is a moment to bask in the glow of your achievements, to feel the pride knowing what you've conquered. Take a moment to reflect on the journey, on the late nights, the challenges overcome, and the invaluable support system that uplifted you. Whether it was a parent, a guardian, a teacher, or a mentor who saw your potential. Students, please rise now and let's give a thunderous round of applause to the parents, guardians, teachers, staff, special guests here tonight who have championed your dreams and supported your path to success. Thank you. And now, parents, guardians, teachers, staff, and special guests, I ask that you rise and join me in celebrating these remarkable young individuals. Let's give a truly heartfelt round of applause to our graduates and CTE completers for their incredible accomplishments. Thank you. As you stand on the feet of a new exhilarating chapter, I want to leave you with a profound insight from basketball legend Michael Jordan. Some people want it to happen, some wish it could happen, and others make it happen. Tonight, you have definitively shown the world you were the ones that make it happen. Now, as you step into your future, I challenge you with this question. What incredible things will you make happen next? Next comes the special recognition part of our ceremony. Tonight is about celebrating excellence. We are honored to acknowledge a few individuals who have truly set themselves apart. Annika Pontarov, recipient of the Stein Memorial Scholarship. Sarah Carter, recipient of the Stein Memorial Scholarship. And Stephanie Martinez, recipient of the Stein Memorial Scholarship. Next up is Gabby Rodriguez. Gabby designed our first student-designed comprehensive school t-shirt. Gabby, please come to the podium for a small gift to show our appreciation. Next up is Grant Jabersack. Mr. Jabersack dedicated 32 years of service to education prior to retiring 2 years ago. He then returned to Dowell J. Howard in various interim administrative roles for the past 2 years. Thank you for your service, and at this time, please make your way to the podium for a small gift to show our appreciation. Next, I'm introducing to you our next two speakers, Mr. Nick Leck, Dowell J. Howard Teacher of the Year, and Mrs. Christina Lay, Dowell J. Howard First Year Teacher of the Year. Mr. Leck, please come forward at this time.
First off, I'm an introvert, so this is a fish out of water moment for me. So I'm going to stare at the words instead of everybody else. It's nothing personal. It's just for me. All right. We're going up. We're going down. We're moving all around. These are the lyrics from Electric Callboy's song, Elevator Operator. I think the words illustrate our lives in general. We all have experiences with ups and downs of life, and sometimes life throws us for a loop and moves us all around. As you start the next phase of your life, this pattern will continue, and there's a lot of uncertainty in life that can cause anxiety and stress. Here are the methods that I've found and applied to my daily existence that have helped me become more content in my life. The first mechanism I learned that has helped me weather the storm of life, I learned from a running club I joined. It's called Embracing the Suck. The essence of this phrase means to make friends with what is unenjoyable or hard. I learned this method from a young age before I even knew what it was called. I'm a middle child, and my parents must have known I would be overshadowed by my siblings and named me accordingly. My name sounds similar to Nick Leck when you say my first and last name together. It was not enjoyable being overlooked, and to be fair, I was the laziest of my siblings, but I learned to embrace it and not shy away from it. When I'm learning something new, training for a new event, or tasked with a work project like this speech, I often face mental resistance. Forcing myself to embrace things I find unenjoyable, I have trained myself to show up, dig in, and get the job done. This continued exposure has also taught me that everything is temporary, and once a task is completed, I get to cash in on the feelings of relief and accomplishment. Becoming friends with what sucks will nurture a resilience and adaptability to the hardships of life. Next thing I learned that has helped me navigate the turbulence of life is willingly stepping outside of my comfort zone. A perfect example is giving this speech. At first, I entertained all the different ways that I could possibly get out of it. However, I decided to commit to taking the journey into the uncomfortable zone. Also, did not want to get fired for not following through on my duties. I found that in my own experiences, that most personal growth is achieved by taking on challenges outside my comfort zone. The more uncomfortable I am, the more growth and reward there is at the end. The thought of running a marathon felt far outside my realm of ability. Just envisioning running that many miles filled me with dread. These feelings were the justification I needed to sign up for my first marathon. Instead of accepting defeat, I ran towards the opportunity to fail. As some anonymous person said, adversity introduces a man to himself. I'm happy I dove in to uncertainty. I learned a lot about myself, established a new community of friends, exposed myself to new opportunities that would have been barred beforehand, and crossed that finish line as a better version of myself. Remembering to embrace the unenjoyable will make it easier to bask in the uncomfortable. Although there are more mantras I live by, I will leave you with this last one. The song, Always Look on the Bright Side of Life, from Monty Python's movie, The Life of Brian, reminds us to always find the good things in life. I do this in 3 main ways. Establish realistic expectations, restructure negatives into positives, and enjoy the small things. I know the last one is a little bit cliche, but it works. I find we rob ourselves of being happy and content mostly not by having realistic expectations. Daniel Gilbert wrote a whole book about this called Stumbling Upon Happiness. What he posits that we usually overestimate how happy or unhappy we'll be if something good or bad happens to us. A perfect example is when we order food and are excited about the taste, but for some reason it fails to stay late. If you embrace the moment without judgment or expectation, you will learn to be content with being or the act of doing instead of the outcome. For me, finding the bright side of a situation allows me to restructure any negative occurrence into a happier, positive reality that is more enjoyable. This can easily be done. Take a story from my childhood. My mother used to help me deliver papers as a kid. One morning, as we were approaching the first house on my route, there was an orange globe up ahead. My mom was worried that it was a house fire. I turned to her and said, on the bright side, at least it's one less house we have to deliver to. I know this is a very dark way of thinking, but it diffused a dire situation with humor. Every negative has a positive somewhere, and practicing finding them will make life more enjoyable. The last way of finding positive is self-explanatory. Find something to appreciate in everything you do. It could be as simple as getting done with something you're despising. Regardless of what you're doing, find things you enjoy and hold on to them regardless of what others think. For example, if you, like me, enjoy building Lego while listening to weird, obscure European metal bands, embrace those activities, and simply because they make you happy. Now for the part of the speeches I dislike the most, the end. Usually when I'm talking to people, and I do not feel like I can offer anything else to the conversation or I get bored, I just tend to walk away without saying anything. Since this does not work in this situation, I want to congratulate you for all the accomplishments that got you here today, no matter how big or small. And hopefully my ramblings have given you more tools to help you navigate every twist and turn in your life as an adult. And when you are met with adversity, sometimes the most important thing is just standing up and showing up, not just standing up, unless you have to stand up, but showing up is more important. And with that,
Good evening, families, friends, faculty, and most importantly, the class of 2025. The ones proudly sitting here in a cap and gown or in your CTU uniform your shop shirt, your scrubs, or whatever you didn't mind getting a little grease, paint, or fingerprint on. Let's be real. If you're here at Dow J. Howard, it means you chose something different. While some students were analyzing Shakespeare's metaphors, you were diagnosing engine issues, building furniture, filling prescriptions, or securing digital networks. Others traded traditional classrooms for a path that actually made sense, with the support to grow and the space to thrive. For you all, this place has been your launch pad, the kind where every effort is required, growth is earned, and coffee counts as a coping strength. Now, here's my bit of advice. Think big. Be bold. And please, because your future self is watching and, well, mildly judging, don't ghost your opportunities. Show up. Say yes. Take the risk, even if it means a little failure or some awkward small talk. So it's time to give credit where credit is due. In nursing, you learned how to check vitals, save lives, and remain calm when someone says, I think I'm going to faint, hopefully not because of your needlework. In pharmacy, you mastered dosage calculations and learned that close enough is never good enough. Precision is key. In auto mechanics, you turned wrenches, diagnosed weird clunking sounds, and you found out that, well, yes, turning the radio up, well, it's not a valid fix, although I might disagree. In auto body, you transformed dented disasters into showroom shine. You proved that with patience and paint, anything can be made beautiful again. In cybersecurity, you outsmarted hypothetical hackers, you protected digital systems, and you developed the skills to one day lock your parents out of their own Wi-Fi. So use that power responsibly. In woodworking, you turned raw lumber into furniture, function, and an occasional splinter. You learned that success smells a whole lot like sawdust. And for those in alternative education, your journey may have had a few extra turns as you faced challenges others may not have seen, but you showed up. You owned your progress and proved that real routes often lead to the best destination. And to my criminal justice students, wow. You wrote and presented legislation with 2 of your mental health recommendations for correctional officers that are now today local policy. And as if that wasn't enough, you also launched a powerful awareness campaign on child sex trafficking that will be shared across the entire school division. You went beyond the study of criminal justice, you practiced it. As Robin Williams, my personal favorite, said in Dead Poet Society, kids, you'll have to watch it, seize the day. Make your lives extraordinary. And that doesn't mean being perfect. It means daring to believe that your work, your words, and your ideas can change the world. Class of 2025, the world is ready for you, even if they don't quite know it yet. Make your mark. And don't forget to call your instructor when you make it big, especially if you start a business, well, because we know people. So congratulations to you all, you have earned it.
Without further ado, I would like to introduce Mr. Caden Thurgood, recognizing our CTE completer recognition, and Mrs. Cassandra Sheets, awarding diplomas and certificates.
These are automotive technology students with having a teacher of Mr. Adam Polis. Lane Barr. Emily Carroll. Erica Gustiadis. Tony Heichman. Corbin Job. Noah Lutz. Wilma Osorio. Joshua Renard. Taylor Simpson. Chase Turman. Liam Welsh. Chloe Wilson. Logan Rowley. Where'd we go? Sorry. Ari Stafford. Nathan Anderson. Haley Baker. Catherine Combs. Tanner Culp. Chasen Day. Michael Harden. Nico Walker. Next, we have carpentry students from Mr. Snow. Christopher Bonilla Garcia. Dylan Brewer. Jefferson Chicas Portillo. Toby Fox. Wiley Fox. Hutch-Trey Garfield Hutchinson. Cole Jennings. Matthew Jennings. Aubrey Lawrenson. Chase Lineberg. Jake Shellhammer. And Luke Shelley. The next two students represent our inaugural partnership with Blue Ridge Community and Technical College, the Culinary Arts Program. Emma Ludwig. And Ernest Parker. Next are criminal justice students with Mrs. Lay. Omayobari Arami. Carla Argueta. Zachary Furby. Jenna Hawari. Natalie Heflin. Jalea Jackson. Hannah Linneberg. Brendan Locke. Stephanie Nunez Villatoro. Jaden Ross Williams. John Ian Setzer. Next, we have cybersecurity students. These are Mr. Lex students. Lucas Richardson. And Quincy Walker. Next are our pharmacy technician students with Mrs. Hicks. Aubrey Alexander. Evelyn Aparicio Lemus. Lily Dodson. Ashayema Almaftikir. Julie Beth Majongo Villalobos. Anastasia Saunders. And Brian Wong. Next, we have certified nurse aid students. Cadence Bain. Sarah Carter. Madison Krim. Alyssa Easterday. Loriana Frimpong. Natalie Hart. Ryan Gwynn. Madison Orndorff. Haniel Osorio Vasquez. Michelle Parker. Emily Patterson. Emma Proco. Kaylee Reyes. Victor Rivera. Jennifer Salinas Garcia. Charisma Smith Landis. Alex Stubblefield. Gracie Ann Toy. Those are Mrs. Barnhill students. Now we're on to Miss Feltner students. Jada Arrington. Bella Christensen. Jordan Collette. Caitlin Combs. Courtney Darty. Yazel Espinoza. Donica Grant. Juliana Huff. Kaylin Lopez Monhe. Caitlin Nixon. Jocelyn Olivares. Ibeth Reyes Sanchez. Brooklyn Snyder. Kennedy Spade. Kaylin Tavener. Ashlyn Stevens. Lillian Upperman. These are Mrs. Sidlowski's nurse aid students. Kaya Ashstetter. Evelyn Berumen Arellano. Rachel Blau. Sydney Burns. Madison Carhart. Olivia Carper. Cameron Ford. Delilah Gray. Kingston Guerrero. Cooper Hall. Steve Luna Pleitz. Ellie Luong. Daniela Martinez. Davini Osorto Montoya. Ronald Rojas Cabrera. Mandy Sang. Hannah Yebauer. Ramas Albuji. Lucero Arellano. Amy Cruz Gonzalez. Leslie Esparza Campos. Liliana Glan. Brian Gomez Campos. Brianna Ishihara Vera. Caitlin Lanza. Lily Nail. Allison Palma Flores. Giselle Perez. Glendy Pineda Limas. Aria Rawat. Riley Rapine. Carly Ritter. Bianca Salinas Lezama. Fergie Sanchez Castro. Antonelia Strong. Camila Torres Cruz. Those were Mrs. Getz, nurse aide students. Now we're on to Miss Barnhill's patient care tech students. Ashley Betts. Emily Klupp. Brianna Emmert. Lauren Fout. Stephanie Garcia Hernandez. Maria Maldonado Hernandez. Taylor Mayhew. Sophia Ratchford. Natalie Sweeney. Cameron Twomey. Kelsey Updegraff. Morgan Wilson. Now we're on to Mrs. Getz, patient care tech students. Madison Cowden. Yvette Hernandez. Ellie Hoover. Taylor Lewis. Stephanie Martinez. Annika Ponsaroff. Annika Rio. Diana Rodriguez. Now we're on to Mrs. Sedlowski's patient care tech students. Olivia Boyce. Leanne Cherry. Destiny Fullylove. Natalie Huizar Ruvalcaba. Matthew McGrory. Addison Miller. Elena Stiles. Kyla Vaught. And the last of our CTE completers, Brady Wallace.
Shayla Bartlett. Jeremiah Donaldson. Bryce Garber. Malachi Ramey. Paige Romanowski. Gabriel Serrano Gomez. William Smith. Seth Bedell. Sissy Dokes. Samuel Grady. Gabriella Hall. Brent McIntosh. Glenn Mitchell. And Aiden Morgan. Ms. Candace McGovern, I have the honor of presenting you the candidates for graduation for the school year 2024-2025 of Dow J. Howard. They have satisfied all the requirements of their respective programs. May I request you, Ms. McGovern, to certify their eligibility for graduation.
Based upon the presentation by Ms. Cassandra Sheets, I, Ms. Candace McGovern, hereby certify that they have completed all the requirements of their respective programs. May I therefore request Mr. Ben Thompson, principal of Dowell J. Howard, to confirm their graduation.
By virtue of the authority vested upon me by the Frederick County Public School Board and the Superintendent of Schools, Dr. George Hummer, I pronounce you graduates of Frederick County Public Schools. Thank you. Students, you may make your way back up to the cafeteria. Thank you.